Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the prime time newscast in the English language on Canal, the International. I'm called Marines. We will begin with our top stories. The Cameroon Human Rights Commission continues to gather elements for the release of the 2021 report of the human rights situation in Cameroon. They held a consultation, a meeting this day in Yaoundé with focal points of public administrative services to review the relative and take stock of the situation in the concerned structures. An effort to put order in the cosmetic sector in Cameroon is underway after the suspension of the production and sale of bleaching cosmetic products recently. And Nigeria's anti-drug agency has seized a record 1.8 ton of cocaine valued at $278 billion. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more. The Cameroon Human Rights Commission continues to gather elements for the release of the 2021 report of the human rights situation in Cameroon. They held a consultation this day in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, with focal points of public administrative services to review the relatives and take stock of the situation in the concerned areas. More on the story with our reporter, Hysen Cha.
The 2021 report on human rights situation in Cameroon is still awaited. The Cameroon Human Rights Commission meeting in Yaoundé this Tuesday with the focal points of public administrative services and institutions is part of the process to develop the report and assess the implementation of their recommendations and opinions on human rights in such public structures between April 2021 and May 2022.
From the different focal points of the other ministries, and we wanted to see to it that the recommendations we make during our press statements are being effectively interpreted for the effective implementation of human rights culture in the country.
The meeting is also focused on identifying the causes of low implementation of the recommendations and putting in place mechanisms to foster the drive. An occasion for the Human Rights Commission to draw contributions from the public structures on the state of human rights violation in Cameroon in 2021.
And Douala city dwellers have expressed worries over the insecurity situation of the city, the surge in the city, crimes, calls for concern. In the following report, our reporter Stephanie Chin paints the situation of insecurity in the city of Douala. Her report.
The surge in violent attacks, be it in taxis or on the streets of Cameroon's economic capital, is a serious cause for concern. Hardly will a day go by without city dwellers being fed with information on attacks. In its fifth report on the security situation in Cameroon, human rights organization Un Monde Avenir and Stand Up for Cameroon have published frightening statistics of violence across Cameroon. Speaking to some Douala city dwellers, they say it is a cause for concern and that something must be done to reverse the trend. It's becoming so complicated in this city because it even takes place in broad daylight. It's becoming difficult for city dwellers. Sincerely, seriously, I plead on authorities to reinforce vigilance. And we citizens as well, if we have information, we have to help the forces of law and order to track them. Keen observers of the security situation of Cameroon say the rise in violence is mostly noted when schools resume. The period of back to school is one which calls for more vigilance. It calls for reinforcement of security measures. According to Littoral Governor, measures have been put in place to combat insecurity, especially within the city of Douala.
The beginning of the schools, when school resumes in the Littoral region, we held some meetings to assure security in schoolyards and all over the place, markets and stadiums. We've just seen that the populations are cooperating very well. And when we are informed, we react.
The population has been called upon to be vigilant and cooperate with the forces of law and order in order to combat the fast-growing insecurity situation within.
An effort to put order in the cosmetic sector in Cameroon is underway after the suspension of the production and sale of bleaching cosmetic products. Recently, a consultation, a meeting between the administration and the coalition to cleanse the sector has been planned for tomorrow, Wednesday, 21 September 2022. More on the story with our reporter, Beatrice Ngamo.
Time to reframe the engagements and strategies in place to better manage the cosmetic sector in the country. The decision to suspend the production and sale of bleaching products, like restrictions on importation, not bad, but for the approach, as it is a chain and all the actors are supposed to play their role.
It is the Minister of Public Health who needs to give authorization for the market after laboratory analysis at the level of ANACOM, this following quality control at the level of ANO, and that all these copies should now be addressed to the Minister of Public Health, who then gives the authorization for it to be on the market in relation to all these expertise.
Solving, say, a health problem, one can pass through economic solution, though old but effective. The order by the Prime Minister to uplift the embargoes on bleaching products saluted as timely.
La taxation de plus sur ces produits qui, à un moment donné, vont commencer à résoudre le problème de façon progressive en attendant que les réflexions ne puissent être menées de façon profonde.
Need for studies also to understand and see how to better the sector. The focus of the September the 21st public-private consultation with actors of the cosmetic sector, and so the census of local operators in the country.
C'est-à-dire qu'à redresser l'entendement de l'administration pour qu'ils comprennent certaines choses qui n'ont pas marché. L'État va se rendre compte, n'est-ce pas, du grand potentiel, n'est-ce pas, de ce secteur d'activité afin de proposer des mécanismes, n'est-ce pas, d'encadrement.
They know and stop actions confusing to the operators who want to expand tentacles beyond.
Arab Kuseri victims of flood victims of Kuseri and returnees of Arab Muslim conflicts have received material donations from the presidential couple. The gesture of basic needs and mobile tents is to permit the vulnerable population bounce back from their deplorable conditions. The gifts were handed to them by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paula Tanganji. More in the following story with our reporter, Hysen Cha.
Circulation bit normal Monday in the capital city Yaoundé. Yellow cab drivers go about business as usual, picking and depositing passengers. All is calm, though the taxi driver says preparation is being finalized for the announced strike in the days ahead. They are not happy with the new Yango service, a Russian application of taxi now operational in Cameroon. Think that now like this, Yango needs to immediately stop its activities. Drivers are complaining that they are no longer on hire or do delivery, as discreetly many just connect on the application, and Yango offer prices that are not the standard prices in Cameroon. Their unhappiness also stems from the fact that the issue of security has been an option that they, taxi drivers, had proposed, but instead it has been offered a foreigner.
Sur le processus de la sécurité. Et puis même, peut-être certains que Yango sécurise, peut-être certains, je ne suis pas certain.
They added that's why they go about fiscal charges, insurance and others, not same with the so-called Yango But it is not as they put it. As Yango driver says, they have only to be a cab driver. Yango Land does not have its own cars or drivers. It partners with local transport companies and drivers. Cameroonians are enjoying the easy transportation with the new taxis, comfortable, accessible, cheap and secure means of transportation.
Avec Nyango, c'est beaucoup plus rapide, c'est beaucoup plus pratique. En plus, c'est à moindre coût.
Tu sais qui te porte comme chauffeur et tout. Tu sais qui te transporte. Tu sais déjà au cas où il y a un souci qui tu peux appeler.
The taxi drivers' trade unionists remain adamant on their stand that the government should better their sector or they remain a cankerworm to the state.
And the population living by the banks of the river Dibamba here in the littoral region are wondering what their fate will be in the next coming years if the authorities do not rescue the river from disappearing, as 90% of their livelihood is dependent on that river. Experts are grappling with strategy to save the river from fast disappearing. More in the following story.
This is the Dibamba River, known as one of the major fluvial basins of Cameroon coastal area. For years now, the advanced degradation of the river caused by pollution, deforestation, and other environmental factors remain critical. Those who exploit the riverside are disturbed with its gradual shrinking. Fishing, which is a major activity, is seriously affected, with fish species and prawns are gradually being extinct. Those who live around the Dibamba River depend on it as the only source of drinking water. But the bad side of it is that they constantly fall sick due to the alkaline nature of the water. The challenge is bigger for the Douala City Council. Studies and research have been reinforced, thus explaining the presence of this group of experts from Canada, Netherlands, USA, and Australia. Their specialty is water management and development for its population, not forgetting US Habitat, one of the partners in the project.
Arcadis is here as a partner with UN Habitat to bring in information on how to manage the river resources based off of the desires of the community for protection of cultural, economic, and environmental issues associated with the Dibamba River.
Several meetings have held, beginning from the City Council to the Dibamba Council, where chiefs expressed the need for the river to be safe and for development to follow for the well-being of the people. It was a similar concern expressed by the chief of the Bakoko Canton and his council members. The ones against further delays and express the need to see the project come to fruition.
And on our feature page tonight, we take you to the borderline between Cameroon and Chad to find out how the population of the two countries really do cohabit. How is the daily relationship between inhabitants of Kuseri and the nearby Jamina town, separated by the Logon River. Hyacinth went finding out his story.
At the two ends of this bridge over the Logon River are two flags, the green, red, yellow of the Republic of Cameroon and the blue, yellow, red of the Republic of Chad. The river serving as a natural boundary for the two countries. And here, the atmosphere that reigns between the Cameroonians and the Chadians is a friendly and brotherly one. Here, life between the two people is harmonized. It is really a sub-regional integration in the Semak zone. You can see how freely we move. There is an exchange between the two, culturally, economically, and socially. Business booming at the banks of the river, with the inhabitants of Kuseri crossing over to N'Djamena on daily basis, and vice versa. Our business activities with the Chadians are unfolding well. We sell and buy from them. It is really going on well. There is collaboration in almost all domains. Some cross over to the two towns for work, others going to school. and that is done without any problem. Living in any of the two countries, the citizens explain that they feel very much at home. I'm of the Chadian origin, but I've been here in Kuseri for 20 years. I was welcomed here in an extraordinary manner, so I'm very much happy. I live in peace. Even between us transporters, we work in harmony. But all their transactions here scrutinized by both the Cameroonian and Chadian forces of law and order, with constant identification of the population and a thorough security control of what they carry in and out.
We take you to Nigeria, where its anti-drug agency has seized a record 1.8 ton of cocaine valued at $278 million. More with the story with our reporter, Cliquez Jr.
Nigeria's National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, has seized a record 1.8 tons of cocaine from suspected traffickers believed to belong to an international cartel, valued at a little over $278 million. The seizure.
The chairman of the agency, General Marwa, coordinated this operation. Every minute up till the last minute before you gathered here, he was on top of it, so you know the kind of person he is. You know his antecedents. He's not somebody that can be manipulated or swayed by anybody.
According to the anti-drugs agency, it's the country's largest burst ever. 5 people, including the warehouse manager, and 4 quote-unquote drug barons, one of them profiled as a Jamaican, have so far been arrested. The agency says it had been trailing them since 2018. In recent months, drug seizures have been on the rise across West Africa, which is increasingly serving as a transit point between South America and Europe. Hundreds of Nigerians took to the streets of the capital, Niamey, over the weekend in protests against the presence of French troops in their country.
Nous exigeons le départ immédiat de la force Barkhane au Niger, qui aliène notre souveraineté, qui est en train de déstabiliser le Sahel.
Arranged by civil society organizations operating under the umbrella of the M62 movement, the demonstrators marched to the National Assembly, castigating the rising cost of living and chanting anti-French slogans. Waving Russian flags, the protesters also held banners saying, "French army, get out." Last August, France pulled the last of its troops out of Mali, bringing the country's Operation Barkhane to an end.
And that's how we saw it in this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language and Canal de International. Thanks so much for watching. But coming up next is the brief with Lil Peugeot. As for me, I'll see you back same time tomorrow. Good night.